I slammed the door to our Pacific Heights brownstone so hard the crystal vase on the entry table shivered. But it didn't shatter, not yet. There he was, my husband of 8 years, Alex Hargrove, the golden boy of Silicon Valley venture capital, kneeling on our living room rug like some devoted knight. His hands splayed possessively over the curve of her belly, that ripe, undeniable swell straining against the silk of her maternity blouse. And she, Victoria Lang, the viper from Apex Innovations, our biggest rival, was beaming down at him, her fingers tangled in his hair, whispering something filthy sweet that made my stomach lurch like I'd swallowed battery acid. But the real gut punch? I didn't scream. I didn't lunge. I just stood there, dripping rain from my early flight out of Chicago, and thought, this is what it feels like to die standing up. Then, because the universe has a sick sense of humor, I reached into my coat pocket, pulled out the matte black envelope I'd been carrying like a loaded gun, the lab results proving I'd miscarried our baby 3 months ago, the one he'd sworn we'd try for again, and I let it flutter to the floor like confetti at a funeral. The rain hadn't let up since I'd touched down at SFO, turning the city into a smeared watercolor of neon and fog. I'd cut my business trip short by 2 days, telling my team it was a gut feeling, some executive intuition about a deal going south. Truth was, it was Alex. The late nights at the office bleeding into dawn, the cologne that wasn't as clinging to his collars like a guilty afterthought, the way he'd started flinching when I mentioned kids, like our future was a landmine he was tiptoeing around. I'd booked the red eye on a whim, fueled by black coffee and that gnawing ache in my chest that no amount of boardroom wins could touch. McKinley Hargrove, 42, VP of Strategic Partnerships at Nexus Ventures. That's what my LinkedIn said. Anyway, in the mirror of the airport bathroom, I'd looked like a ghost of that woman, sharp bob gone frizzy from humidity, eyes shadowed from grief I hadn't voiced. The miscarriage had been quiet, clinical, a D&C at a discreet clinic in the Presidio. No flowers, no casseroles from the PDA moms in our cul-de-sac. Alex had been in Tokyo, closing a series B that netted him a cool 8 figures in carry. We'll try again soon, babe, he texted from 30,000 feet, emoji heart like a band-aid on a bullet wound. Now, stepping over the threshold of the home we'd bought with my signing bonus and his charm offensive, I felt the floorboards creak under my Louboutins like they were judging me. The air smelled of her, jasmine and something metallic, like ambition laced with desperation. And there they were, framed against the floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the bay. The kind of view that screamed we made it to anyone who didn't know the cracks beneath the surface. Alex looked up first, his face folding from bliss to horror in the span of a heartbeat. Those blue eyes, the ones that had reeled in investors and me alike, widened like a cornered animal's. Kin, you're early. He scrambled to his feet, hands still hovering as if he could will the moment away, like one of his pitch deck illusions. Victoria didn't move. She just arched one perfectly groomed eyebrow, her hand drifting protectively over the bump that mocked every ovulation kit I'd peed on in vain. McKinley, she purred, voice like velvet over razor wire. We weren't expecting you till Friday. Jet lag must be a bitch. I laughed then, a sharp, ugly bark that echoed off the exposed brick walls. Yeah. Well, surprises are my love language lately. My gaze dropped to the envelope at my feet, the one with the clinic's seal staring up like an accusation. Alex followed it, his color draining faster than a bad quarter's earnings report. Kin, listen. Save it. I kicked off my heels, the thud grounding me as I crossed the room, snatching a bottle of his favorite scotch from the bar cart. The crystal tumbler clinked against the decanter, liquid sloshing like my pulse.
1 pour 2.
I downed it neat, the burn chasing the numbness. How long, Alex? And don't feed me that it just happened crap. That belly's not a microwave burrito. Victoria shifted on the couch, crossing her legs with the grace of a panther who'd just eaten the canary. 5 months, she said, casual as ordering takeout from DoorDash. Give or take. We're keeping it, obviously. Alex has been supportive. Supportive. The word landed like a slap. I turned on her, glass midway to my lips. You think this is support? This is our home. Our life. And you waltz in here, knocked up like some tech bro fantasy. And what? Expect a high five. Alex stepped between us, palms up in that mediator pose he pulled during funding rounds. McKinley, please. It's not what you think. Victoria and I. We connected over the Apex deal. Late nights. Stress. It was a mistake. But the baby's real. We have to. Connected. I echoed it, tasting bile. Like how you connected with that intern in Tahoe last winter. Or the bartender at the View Cliquot launch.
No.
Wait, those were my imagination. Right? Gaslighting 101 from the king of clean exits. His jaw tightened. That telltale tick I'd learned to spot in poker games and prenups. That's not fair. You've been buried in work.
Kin.
Nexus is eating you alive. I was lonely. We both were. Lonely. The excuse du jour for every Silicon Valley divorce filed under irreconcilable ambition. I set the glass down, hard enough to chip the rim, and retrieved the envelope. Lonely enough to knock up the competition? Classy. Alex. Real founder fantasy shit. I tore it open, letting the single sheet of paper drift toward him like fallout. While you were playing house, I lost ours. 3 months ago. Our baby.
Gone.
And I handled it alone because you were too busy building empires. The paper landed at his feet. The clinical font blurring in the lamplight. Spontaneous abortion. No viable tissue. Victoria's eyes flicked to it, then away. A flicker of something, pity, triumph, crossing her Botox-smooth face. Alex stooped to pick it up, unfolding it with trembling hands. Oh God.
Kin.
Why didn't you call me? Because I didn't want your half-assed condolences between board meetings. My voice cracked, the first real fracture in the armor. Rain hammered the windows like applause for the implosion. But hey, silver lining, you've got a backup plan warming in her oven. He crumpled the paper, face crumpling with it. I love you, McKinley. This doesn't change that. We can fix it. Counseling, whatever. The baby's not what? Yours. Victoria cut in, rising with a wince, one hand on her lower back like a shield. Don't, Alex. She's not stupid. She turned to me, chin lifted in challenge. It's his. DNA doesn't lie. But let's not pretend you two were some fairy tale. I know about the fraud. McKinley. The one you took the fall for 2 years back. Embezzling from Nexus to cover his bad bets on that crypto scam. You did 18 months probation, sandbagged your career. All for him. And now, this is Karma's invoice. The room spun, scotch roiling in my gut. How the hell did she? Alex's face confirmed it. Pale. Pleading. Kin, I was going to tell you. Apex has dirt on everyone. She threatened to. Threatened. I whirled on him. You slimy fuck. You framed me for your screw-up. Let me rot in depositions and therapy sessions. And now you're what? Her white knight? The betrayal sank deeper than the infidelity. A knife twist in scar tissue I'd ignored for love. For legacy. For the American dream we'd bought with blood and venture bucks. Victoria smirked, rubbing her belly like a talisman. Power moves. Darling. In this town, you don't climb the ladder, you kick everyone else off.
Alex chausside.
Now you know. I lunged then, not at her, but at the bar cart, hurling the decanter at the wall. Amber shards rained down, glittering like broken promises. Get out, I snarled, voice raw. Both of you. Now. Alex hesitated, reaching for me. Kin. Out. The word exploded, echoing my shattering world. They left in a blur. Victoria first. Dignity intact. Alex trailing with muttered apologies. The door clicking shut like a guillotine. I sank to the floor amid the glass, sobs racking me as the rain wept solidarity. That night, I didn't sleep. I plotted. Googled hitmen on tour. Priced out lawyers who'd bury him in NDAs and subpoenas. But dawn brought clarity. Revenge wasn't a check I could cut. It was a virus, coded into my veins. By noon, I'd called in sick first time in a decade and drove to the one place that still felt like mine, the old Nexus lab in Mission Bay, where I'd cut my teeth on neural interfaces before the incident sidelined me to partnerships.
Dr.
Elias Crow, my old mentor, owed me. Big time. Elias, I said into his voicemail, voice steady as steel. Remember that prototype? The one we shelved after the ethics board shit themselves? I need it. Off books. Name your price. He called back in 10 minutes. McKinley, that's madness. The swap tech, it's unstable. Swaps consciousness, not souls. Reversible. Maybe. But the risks. Risks are my middle name these days. I glanced at the ultrasound photo I'd kept hidden. The one of our lost baby. A blurry smudge of potential. Just get me in. Tonight. The lab was a ghost town after hours, humming with the low buzz of servers and the tang of ozone. Elias, grizzled in his lab coat, led me to the chamber. 2 pods like sarcophagi from a bad sci-fi flick, wired to a console that looked like it could hack God. Target, he asked, fingers hovering over keys. I pulled up Victoria's Apex profile on my phone, headshot smug as ever. Her.
Swap me in.
Just long enough to gut him from the inside. Elias's eyes widened. Jesus.
Kin.
This isn't a game. If it glitches, then I'll haunt you both. I stripped to a gown, the paper crinkling like surrender. The pod sealed with a hiss, IVs pricking cold into my veins. Sedatives flooded, the world fuzzing to static. Last thought, for the baby we lost. For the life he stole. Blackness. Then,
Light.
pressure. A weight on my chest, foreign and insistent. I gasped, hands flying up, smaller. Manicured nails. A gold bracelet I didn't recognize. The mirror across the room showed her face. Victoria's. Porcelain skin flushed. Lips parted in confusion. But my eyes stared back. sharp and vengeful. And below, oh God, the swell,
Taut and alive.
kicking like a promise of war. I was her, pregnant with his child. And the game had just flipped. Waking up in Victoria's body was like slipping into a designer dress, 2 sizes too small, every breath a reminder of the fit, every movement laced with unfamiliar grace or groan. The apartment was hers, a sleek loft in Soma with exposed ducts and mid-century knockoffs that screamed, I out-earned my trust fund. I'd hacked the door code en route, old habits from my cybersecurity days, and now, sprawled on her king-sized bed, I traced the curve of this belly, feeling the flutter beneath like Morse code for your fuck now.
Alex.
First things, inventory. Phone iPhone. Biometrics bypassed with a quick thumbprint scan, her sleek, yoga-toned hand. Not my calloused one from endless emails. Text from him, miss you already. Dinner tonight? Heart emojis. The coward's confetti. Missed calls from Apex execs. A reminder she'd been gunning for my job via Pillow Talk. And buried in a password-protected folder, emails. Chains of them. Time-stamped back to our wedding anniversary. Plotting the Nexus fraud. Alex's fingerprints all over. Forged ledgers. Shell accounts in the Caymans. I'd signed the confession, teary-eyed in a conference room, believing his whispers of temporary.
Babe.
For us.
Bastard.
I'd borne the scarlet letter. Probation. The whispers at industry mixers. The stalled promotion, while he rode the wave to partner at his VC firm. And Victoria? Complicit. Her replies, I'll handle the leak. Make it stick. Power couple in the shadows. Breeding a dynasty on my ruins. The baby kicked harder. A jab to the ribs that stole my breath.
His baby.
Or so they thought. I pressed a palm there, whispering to the life inside. Not for long. Kiddo. Controversial? Hell yes. But in the underbelly of the valley, where unicorns were birthed on NDAs and discarded dreams, ethics were just beta-tested code. I dressed in her wardrobe, flowy blouse over black leggings, hiding the bump like a secret weapon. Makeup, subtle, predatory. By 6 p.m., I was at their spot, the slanted door, Embarcadero's oyster cathedral for the elite. Alex was already there, tie loosened, nursing a Sazerac at the bar, eyes scanning like he owned the room.
He did.
In a way, his Rolodex was a king's ransom. Vi, he murmured, standing to air-kiss my cheek, lingering too long. Up close, he smelled of vetiver and victory, the cologne I'd bought him for our 5th. You look radiant. I slid onto the stool, crossing legs with her practiced poise. Flattery gets you everywhere. Hargrove. My voice, her voice, came out honeyed, laced with my venom.
God.
It was intoxicating, puppeteering her like a glitchy avatar. We ordered, uni for him, seared scallops for me. Small talk flowed, his latest pitch on AI ethics, irony noted. Her wins at Apex that I'd sabotage later. But under the table, my foot, her foot, traced his calf, a callback to their stolen nights. He flushed, that boyish grin cracking my resolve for a split second. Remember who you are.
Kin.
Everything okay? He asked, fork pausing midair. You seem
Off.
I leaned in, lips brushing his ear. Just thinking about us. The future. The baby. The word hung, heavy as the fog rolling in off the bay. His hand found my knee, squeezing. It's gonna be perfect. Boy or girl, doesn't matter. We'll announce at the holiday party, Nexus and Apex. United front. He chuckled, oblivious. McKinley's gonna flip, but she'll come around. Always does.
Flip.
The casual dismissal ignited something feral. I excused myself to the ladies' room, locking the stall and firing off an anonymous tip to the SEC from her burner email, fragments of the fraud docs. Enough to trigger an audit without fingering her yet. Controversial decision 1. Use her access to torch his career. If I went down for his sins once, he'd drown in them now. Back at the table. Dessert arrived, chocolate pot de creme. Shared spoon like lovers in a rom-com. But as he fed me a bite, I let it tear well. Crocodile perfect. Alex. What if she fights dirty? McKinley, she's got Elias on speed dial. That swap tech rumor? If she pulls strings. He stiffened, spoon clattering. Elias? That crackpot? Kin wouldn't. Wouldn't what? Destroy us. I gripped his hand, nails digging crescents. You know her. Ruthless when crossed. And after last night, she saw the belly. Alex. The envelope. She's unhinged. His face darkened, the charmer cracking to reveal the schemer. Fuck. I thought we had time. Okay. Plan B. Leak the miscarriage story. Frame it like she faked the fraud to cover her instability. Media eats that up. Tech wife cracks under pressure. My blood, her blood, boiled. Frame me again?
No.
But I played along, nodding tearfully. Smart. But we need leverage. Her emails from the probation period, I can access Apex's servers. Plant something damning. He beamed, pride warring with paranoia. That's my girl.
Vi.
You're a goddamn force. We left arm in arm. His driver idling curbside in the Tesla. The ride to her loft was a haze of his hands wandering. Her body responding on autopilot. Hormones a traitorous tide. At the door, he pressed me against it, kiss deepening to bruise. Stay with me tonight, he murmured. Fuck the drama. I pulled back. Hand on the swell.
Can't.
Doctor's appointment tomorrow, amnio. Early risks.
Lie.
But it bought space. He pouted, then relented, sealing it with a forehead kiss that almost broke me. Alone, I double-locked, then raided her medicine cabinet. Prenatal vitamins. A half-empty bottle of Ambien. Controversial decision 2. Skim the sleep aids. Induce just enough fatigue to make her me. Forget key meetings. Apex would crumble from within. Whispers of her unreliability spreading like VC gossip. Sleep came fitful. Dreams a mashup of boardrooms and incubators. My old body haunting the edges. Morning brought nausea. The real kind, morning sickness crashing like a server outage. I dry heaved over her marble sink, staring at the stranger's reflection. McKinley Hargrove. What the actual fuck have you done? Elias's text buzzed, vitals stable. Reversal window, 72 hours. Abort if complications. Complications. Like the life kicking defiantly inside. Or the man downstairs plotting my original body's demise. I dressed for the appointment, loose sweater, flats, and headed to a clinic in the Castro, not for amnio, but for blood work. Discreet labs. Cash only. Results in hand by lunch, HCG level sky high. But something off. A chromosomal flag. The doctor, A no-nonsense dyke with a rainbow pin. Frowned at the printout. This baby's got markers. Unusual. Paternal mismatch potential. You want to discuss options? Mismatch. My pulse thrummed. Not his. I pocketed the sheet. Tipping double. Outside. Under a drizzling sky. I pieced it. IVF records I'd glimpsed in her files last night. Embryo swapped. Or, twist of the knife, mine. The one I'd lost. Harvested in secret? No time. Alex's car pulled up. Unbidden. Surprise lunch, he grinned. Oblivious. Missed you. I slid in. Paper crumpling in my fist. Missed you too. Lie one of many. As we merged onto 101, Bay Bridge looming, I leaned over, whispering, pull over. Need to talk. He did. At a scenic overlook, turbines whirring below. Wind whipped my hair, her hair, as I faced him. The baby's not yours, Alex. His laugh died quick.
What, Vi?
That's not funny. Not joking. I thrust the paper at him. Lab says mismatch. Remember McKinley's miscarriage? The tissue they disposed of? Turns out, your clinic buddy pocketed it. Implanted here. It's hers. Our lost one. Stolen. His face went ashen. Eyes darting like code compiling errors. That's impossible. I paid DR. Hail to. Shred it. I finished. Voice ice. You stole my baby to build your perfect family with her shell. With me, you coward. Panic flickered.
Vi, calm down.
This is stress talking. The swap, wait. How do you? I grabbed his collar, pulling him close. Her breath hot on his face. Because I'm not her. You piece of shit. I'm McKinley. And I'm ending this. His eyes bulged, comprehension dawning in horror. Then screech of tires. A truck swerving from the lane. Impact.
Glass.
Black. The crash was a symphony of crumpling metal and shattering safety glass, the Tesla spinning like a drunk on black ice before slamming into the guardrail. Airbags deployed in a powdery bloom. My Victoria's, head snapping back against the headrest, stars exploding behind eyelids. Pain bloomed in my abdomen, sharp as shattered code, but I clawed through it, unbuckling with blood-slick fingers. Alex slumped beside me, a gash across his forehead painting his cheek in crimson rivulets, but his chest rose fell, ragged but steady. Sirens wailed distant, closing fast. I fumbled for his phone, cracked screen spiderwebbed, and dialed Elias.
Crash. Bridge.
Get extraction.
Now.
Voice warbling. Hers but mine. Laced with adrenaline's edge. McKinley? Christ, ambulances inbound. Pods are mobile. But, do it. I hung up, then turned to him, slapping his face till his eyes fluttered. Wake up, lover boy. Storytime's over. He groaned, focusing on me, her, with dawning dread.
Kin. In Vi. How? The lab.
You crazy. Crazy. I laughed, bitter as bridge fog. You stole my embryo, Alex. Played God with our loss to plug your side piece. That's the height of Valley hubris, biohacking betrayal. He coughed, tasting copper. It was mercy. You were broken after the miscarriage.
Distant.
I thought. A fresh start. Hale owed me from the fraud cover. Mercy. The word curdled. I pressed the lab sheet to his chest, smearing red. You call trafficking my dead babies potential mercy? And the fraud? I took the fall so you could play philanthropist. Funding ethical AI while Apex funneled your dirty money. Headlights pierced the dusk. Cop cars skidding to halt. Paramedics swarmed, barking questions I fielded in her clipped tone. Minor fender bender. He's concussed. They stretchered him out. Me trailing with a hand on the bump. The baby, for now, still kicking like it sensed the storm. Elias's van materialized like a Black Ops Uber. Nondescript panel with Cali plates. Back seat, he hissed, bundling me in while uniforms milled. The drive to the safe house, a nondescript warehouse in Hunters Point, was a blur of sodium lamps and my plotting. Controversial Decision 3. Let the SEC audit roll. But accelerate it. From her phone, I forwarded the full email chain to a journalist contact, mine, buried deep. Tech Titan's baby scandal, fraud, theft, and a stolen womb. Headline bait.
Prime to drop.
The warehouse hummed with jury-rigged tech, pods humming like angry bees, monitors flickering vitals. Elias strapped me in, IVs pricking anew. Reversal now. But kin the fetus. Stress from the crash. It might not hold. I met his gaze. Steel to steel. Good. If it's mine, it deserves better than his tainted bloodline. Dark words. As the fog-shrouded bay. But in the revenge ledger, debts demanded interest. Sedatives pulled me under, consciousness unraveling like Ethernet cables. Waking was agony, my body, familiar aches, the flat plane of my own belly mocking the phantom weight. Elias hovered, monitors beeping green. Swap complete. Victoria's in her pod, sedated. She'll wake with amnesia protocols, thinks it was a dream. Or a breakdown. Alex is at SF Gen. Under watch. I sat up, gown whispering, and checked the mirror. McKinley again. Bruises blooming like badges. The story? Filed. Bounced off paywalls. But it's viral on X. Hargrove heist trending. He handed me a tablet. Feeds scrolling. Outrage. Memes of stolen cribs. Calls for investigations. Apex stock dipped 8% pre-market. His VC firm issued a leave of absence statement. Oily as ever. But revenge's high was fleeting, chased by hollowness. I discharged myself at dawn, cabbing back to the brownstone. Reporters camped the stoop, flashes popping like gunfire. Inside, the vase still teetered. Scotch stains faded to ghosts. I poured a finger, neat, and scrolled the fallout. Alex's bail hearing was set for Monday. Charges stacking like Jenga, fraud, embryo theft, federal now. Thanks to interstate clinics. Conspiracy. Victoria, waking groggy, lawyered up quick, claiming coercion. But the twist I'd planted? Her confession audio. Deep-faked from snippets I'd recorded in her skin. It was all his idea. The swap. The baby he forced me. Controversial? Diabolical. It painted her victim. Him monster.
And me.
Avenging ghost. Calls flooded. Bored at Nexus demanding my return. Heroes welcome. Old friends offering wine and whispers. But I ghosted them. Driving instead to the Presidio Clinic, Hale's office. He was there, smarmy in scrubs. But my entrance, gun absent, but presence loaded, froze him. McKinley. I can explain. Save it for the feds. I slid the lab sheet across his desk. You played Frankenstein for a payout. My payout now. Immunity if you testify. Details on the implantation. The payoffs. He blanched, but nodded.
Deal.
It was Alex's call. He said you were unfit post-miscarriage. Harvested viable cells from the DNC. Cultured them. Vi's uterus was the host, willing. For equity in his fund. Willing. The words stung fresh. I left him sweating. Testimony queued for the DA. Outside. Eucalyptus scented the air. Sharp as clarity. The baby, my baby. If viable, now in limbo. Monitored at a specialist ward. Tests pending. Could it survive extraction? Gestation in a surrogate? Or was it lost again? Collateral in this blood feud? Evening brought the confrontation. SF Gen's ICU was sterile hell. Beeps and bleach. Alex lay tubed and trussed. Lawyer at bedside like a vulture valet. I dismissed her with a glare, privileged marital calms, and pulled a chair close. His eyes cracked open. Morphine glazed.
Kin.
You're back. In the flesh. I leaned in, voice low. Your empire's ash. Alex. SEC's raiding your servers. Victoria's singing like a canary, your canary. And the baby? It's mine. You stole it. You lose it. He wheezed, hand twitching for mine.
Please.
I did it for us. Love you. Love. I snatched his chart, flipping pages. This isn't love. It's control. Like the fraud, you gambled our nest egg on shitcoins, then pinned it on me. I confessed to protect us. You repaid it with this? Tears tracked his cheeks, mixing with antiseptic. Forgive me. We can start over. No, Victoria. No.
No.
I stood, smoothing my coat. You don't get redemption arcs. That's for founders, not frauds. At the door, I paused. One last gift. I dropped the deepfake audio file onto his phone via Bluetooth, her voice damning him eternal. Play it on loop. Your new lullaby. Hallway blurred as I fled. Nurses parting like Red Sea witnesses. Outside. Rain slicked the streets. Tires hissing judgment. Elias waited in the lot. Engine idling. Next move. Extract the embryo. If it's viable, I carry it. Alone. Controversial decision 4. Become mother to the stolen seed. Raising it on truths unvarnished. Feminist triumph or masochistic folly. The valley would debate it over oat lattes. Weeks blurred. Depositions in fluorescent rooms. My testimony, a scalpel carving his lies. Media frenzy peaked, 60 Minutes teaser. The womb wars of Silicon Valley. Nexus reinstated me with equity bump. But I tendered resignation mid-hearing. Time for pivot, I told the stunned board. Bioethics consulting. Real change, not code. Victoria vanished post-reversal, exiled to a vineyard retreat, grieving her loss. Last I heard, she sued Alex for emotional distress, settling out of court for 7 figures. Poetic, in a twisted way. The extraction succeeded, barely. Tiny cluster, fragile as hope, implanted in me via a surrogate bridge, my body too scarred from the first loss. Scans showed heartbeat at 6 weeks. A flutter-eyed guard fiercer than any IP. But climax brewed in a Soma courtroom. Alex's trial a circus of tech bros in suits and protesters chanting, Justice for the stolen. I testified last. The room electric. DA painted him predator. Defense. Tragic innovator. My turn. He didn't just steal money. He stole futures. Mine. Our child's. In a world of ones and zeros. He treated lives like data points to manipulate. Jury deliberated 2 days. Verdict. Guilty. 20 years federal. No parole. As marshals cuffed him, our eyes met, his pleading, mine pitiless. Kin. McKinley, I corrected, turning away. The gavel fell like final punctuation.
Outside.
Paparazzi swarmed, but I slipped through. Elias's banned a shadow chariot. Home now, a Marin cottage. Waves crashing lullabies. The pregnancy progressed. Kicks sinking to my pulse. Boy or girl, didn't matter. This child would know strength, not secrets. Yet doubt nagged. As midnight feeds to come. Was this justice or just another swap? Me for the monster he'd made me? Forums buzzed. Hero or hen? McKinley Hargrove's revenge baby. Debatable ending. Indeed. Months later, the cottage smelled of salt and sage, waves from Stinson Beach licking the cliffs below, bundles of the herb burning on the mantle to ward off ghosts. My belly swelled now, legitimate and longed for, the embryo's heartbeat a metronome to my reinvention. McKinley Hale Crow, new name, nod to the doc and mentor who'd midwifed my resurrection. Nexus alums sent baby registries unbidden. Apex imploded in scandals. Victoria's Go CEO title revoked. Alex rotted in Lompoc. Appeals bouncing like bad code. But revenge's aftertaste was ash, coating every ultrasound smile. I'd won, him caged. Our child reclaimed. But at what cost? The swap had left echoes, phantom kicks when I slept alone. Her jasmine scent haunting my dreams. Elias warned of neural bleed, phantom limb for the soul. Therapy unpacked it weekly. A no-valley shrink with crystals and compassion probing. Was the deep fake ethical? The framing? Hell no, I'd admit. Sipping chamomile. But in his world, ethics were optional. I just played the game better. She'd nod, jotting notes. And the baby, carrying the seed of betrayal, does it taint? I'd pause. Hand on the swell. Or redeem. He stole it once. I'm giving it back, roots. Not ruins. The twist hit at 32 weeks. Routine scan in Sausalito. Tech hummed. Gel cold on skin. Sonographer frowned at the screen. Zooming. Everything's. Wait. Printout in hand. She called the OB. Double-check the karyotype. Room tilted. What is it? My voice. Steady but small. The doctor entered. Charts fanned. McKinley, the embryo we extracted. It's not yours. Or Alex's. She tapped the image, a cluster of cells. Perfect, but alien. Mitochondrial mismatch. It's Victoria's. From a prior cycle. Implanted rogue by Hale. Alex thought it was yours, insurance policy. Maybe, but it's hers. All along. Truth reversed. A gut punch sharper than the crash. Stolen. Yes, but not my baby. Hers. The life I'd felt kicking in her skin, the flutter I'd avenged, was enemy fruit. Rage surged, hot and helpless, then ebbed to hollow laugh. Karma's a bitch with a PhD. Options: terminate, or carry to term. Surrogate adoption. Controversial to the core. Nurture the spawn of a snake? Or erase? Compounding losses? Forums reignited. McKinley's dilemma. Raise the rival's child? Threads dissected. Polarized, feminist icons cheering resilience. Trad bros decrying delusion. I chose Carrie. Not for her, but for me. Redemption's not genetic, I told the mirror. Belly a drum of defiance. Delivery came stormy. November gales rattling windows. Labor in a birthing center, midwives. No AP. Pain a purge. Girl, 6 pounds. Tuft of dark hair. Cry piercing as justice. I named her Nova, star born of collapse. Alex's last letter arrived pre-sentencing. Smuggled via a guard's pity. If it's a girl, tell her daddy loved her mother once. Forgive? I burned it on the beach. Ashes scattering on tide. Forgiveness?
Nah.
But forgetting? That was the real swap, trading vengeance for vigil. Nova's first month was blur, colic symphonies. Elias as godfather dropping neural toys. A network of valley exiles forming a village. No brownstone ghosts. No boardroom battles. Just us. In flannel and fog. Building code from scratch. Yet endings debate. Happy? In metrics, her coups. My scars fading, yes. Tragic? The what-ifs echo, no swap. No crash. Our original child breathing?
Bye.
The child I'd born for another. Raising truths amid the taint. One night, Nova latched fierce. Eyes, Victoria's eyes, locking mine. I whispered, "You're mine now." Rewrite the story.
Outside.
Stars wheeled over the Pacific. Indifferent arbiters. In America's grind, where dreams glitch and swap, I'd hacked the system. Controversial queen. You am throne. And damn if it didn't fit.